Cool. Okay, here we go. Hi everyone. Welcome to today's issue triage meeting. Um, yeah, so if you have any specific issues that you would like to go over or talk about, um, please do put the issues here under triaged. If not, we'll just be going through the predefined filter. But outside of that, let's get started with going through the PRs. Okay, so we have a few PRs that are signed out. Um, More PRs did come in recently. So let's see. This is, I guess, this graph, so we won't go over the fix. Like apply, this seems to be a one line change. Does anybody willing to pick this up? Looks to be around the kind of cluster.
I think there was some discussion about it being an issue with Co.
Gotcha. Did we have any of that? Oh, I guess we don't have that. I guess we do you have some context around this to maybe put that on the
Just
ticket?
that last comment from Jonathan.
Gotcha.
Nothing's really changed with it since.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, seems like it needs to be rebased, and if not, it just get auto resolved if the user doesn't like if the contributor doesn't come back to take a look at it. I guess we can leave that for the time being then. Um, Node registration. This I think is a work in progress, so we'll leave that for now. RFC for configurable registration TTL. Garvin, I know you mentioned this last time around.
It's not ready yet. You can skip this
Oh,
for now. I haven't gone back to it.
gotcha. Okay, cool. It seems like okay. Seems like Jonathan is taking a look at this. Looks like we're dropping a specific metric, or I guess not dropping it, but just dropping a label. Hey, anybody willing to take a look? Just take a crack at this? Just review. Okay. I guess I can leave. I can assign it out to Jonathan for the time being. On and on. Seems that there have been updates here. I'll just assign this one as well. Hmm. These are relatively short fixes. Here, I guess Reed, you made this pure. Anything? I mean, is this good for review? What's the status?
Uh, can you hit files change, please? I need to double check that I actually have a test for this. Okay, it looks like I did make a test. I just need to double check that it is good. And then I'll ping a couple people for additional review.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think the idea for it is pretty well understood. But basically, multi-node consolidation doesn't respect its timeout on the first run through. So you can have multi-node consolidation block a few other disruption methods for a long time. basically however long scheduling takes for all of the pods on a single node times 50, because we binary search through the candidates up to 100 candidates.
Okay, gotcha. Sounds okay. Sounds good then. I will. I guess I'll let you handle in terms of getting this reviewed out. Cool. So this, I know, Reed, you were tracking this.
Yeah, I was talking to Ken a bit offline. I basically just want to make sure that the last thing I'm just checking is that it's the heuristic does make sense, and I'm pretty sure that it does. Um, Basically, trying to figure out a way with the number of pods and then the node lifetime that you like if Karpenter did its job well, and there's a node claim that is small and has 10 pods on it, for example, but that 10 pods is pretty effectively packed into a node. Currently, that's going to be considered with higher weight because compared to like an 8XL node or something that maybe has 100 plus pods, it seems like it's less disruptive. Um, and so this change would make it so that the utilization of a node is considered as part of the sorting for the disruption cost.
Okay. So I guess I'll assign it to you since you have the
Yeah,
most.
that's probably fine.
Uh, I have you updated this? So you've updated this PR to include PDBs, right? Oh, I see this. Reserve on the call. If not, okay. I guess Serve can also just take. We're also actively looking at this for the time being, so I'll just leave it alone for now.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I was trying to unmute myself. I think I've been talking to Jonathan about this, and he says he's gonna take a look and basically see if making this change makes sense, and also if it would violate any of the other preconditions that we have today.
Gotcha. Okay, sounds good. Um, Draft PR, let that be. Uh, these are just test fixes, Read. So I guess once you have the
Yeah, can you open it up again? I forgot. I was trying to get this out the door. Okay, I think it was another backport of a fix to consolidation state.
gotcha. Yeah, I guess you can we can try. I guess I'm assuming you'll track these.
Yeah, I think it's yeah, I'll take another look. It's fine for these to just go in to each individual patch branch. It'll fix it for the future. It's already in main though, so
Cool. Implements. Yeah, guess we can just. Well, this is just adding an additional metric. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I guess I can take a look at this myself then. Let's just say some. Okay. I think that covers all the open PRs. Any questions? I guess does anybody have any questions or PRs that you want to bring up? If not, then we can go on to issues. Okay. Okay, so I don't see any issues here, so we'll just go and start taking a look at the open issues. Oh, we're down to one page. That's nice. Okay, well, seems like we have the oldest issues covered. Um, since we have these assigned out, I'm just gonna go here and start at this ticket. This issue, reserve idle resources on and up. Mm, I guess it seems like this is a feature request when updating deployments. I guess not have existing nodes be terminated as part of that pod recycle.
What do they mean by idle resources in this case?
Yeah, I guess I'm not full. I don't fully understand that. I'm thinking they're just talking about they want to have some level of reserve capacity inside of their cluster, like similar to over provisioning or I guess manual provisioning and having some extra capacity that they could then use as part of swapping out their deployments where they can scale up their deployment pod. When a deployment changes, the replica set for the updated pods comes up, and then they could utilize the idle resources on inside of their cluster to then avoid having to do additional scale up. That's what it sounds. That's what I guess that's how I'm reading it. Uh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh,
Sorry, I just wanted to quickly say, so if I believe, do we have a mega issue for this already? Like, if this is more like static capacity or reserved capacity, then we can maybe point them to that issue.
yeah. Yeah. I think we could definitely close this out in favor of that. That's at least how I'm reading it. I think we just need a little bit more clarifying questions just to make sure that's their actual use case. Um, but yeah, I do agree with that.
I think one thing that's not fully clear to me is it seems like they're fairly concerned about the existing pods, which technically are running smoothly, getting rescheduled onto a new node due to consolidation. If I mean, they could use the do not disturb annotations to just not move certain workloads if those workloads are what they're worried about. So I'm not sure if like they just want in general to have like a min threshold for when we do consolidation. And I think we have some control options that we provide as part of the config today. Or if they're just worried about some particular sensitive workloads and don't want them to move, I mean, we do have options to allow them to do that. So it might just be worth clarifying what they want.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Okay, I can assign this to myself just to get the clarifying questions. Cool. Here. Guess we just haven't had any additional information from the customer. Seems like
I thought we looked at this, right?
we definitely we do this. All available instance have exceeded the limit. Yeah, so seems like this is a configuration issue because we're not able, we see that we don't have any instance types available to us based off of the limits that they've defined. So we definitely just need clarifying questions. I don't, what they're saying doesn't entirely make sense. And seems like a non-bugged, at least from just initial glance. Okay.
Wait, sorry. Continuous scale? Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong. I thought we looked at this last time where we created a new node to the limit. Was it not? Oh, okay. This is something else. Never mind. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, at least from what they're saying, this is just a configuration issue. It's not necessarily like that we're not scaling up based off of these resources.
Should it be slash assign manual?
Yes. Well, listen to the update. Mhm. Let me do it again, I guess. Okay. Cool. Next thing, disruption budgets pertaining to node labels. Interesting. So they want additional configuration on a granular node level or a zone level of disruption budgets. Yeah, I guess today you would need to have separate node pools to be able to achieve this and separate them out by zone. Uh, it's definitely an interesting feature request. I guess this kind of goes along the lines of having disruption reasons, like having multiple, like at least for drifted, you'll have individual reasons. So like for the AWS provider, for example, like you could set a disruption reason based off of subnet drift versus Omni drift or whatever the subcategories of drift that may exist, as opposed to just like a drift as a whole. Yeah, I think this is probably at least I don't know if this is a feature we would take in, but at least this is definitely one we could have more of a conversation around. Anybody? Hmm?
Agreed. I think like we can accept this and then ask for an RFC or something. I don't know how many people want to do this.
I mean, if the customers or if the contributor is definitely interested, then we should definitely ask for it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yes, I'll put that in for now, and then I guess I'll just put triage accepted for the time being, and I'll leave it unassigned, but then obviously we'll just leave it as a feature request. Cool. Okay, here. So this seems like they want us to be able to filter down the logs. They are messaging here.
Yeah, I also run into this a lot too. We separate our node pools based on taints for the workloads. So like if you have the incorrect taint, then it's kind of irrelevant that it's not scheduling on that node pool. So you have these massive pod events, right? You look at the pod event and there'll be like 20 lines of information. It's mainly useless. So a way to cut down on this would be really cool.
Gotcha. I see. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't necessarily categorize this as a bug. This is definitely an improvement that we can make. And I guess you could go either way. I guess, is anybody willing to track this? And I guess have a little bit more competition and understand the cases where we see a lot of error messages here. If not,
I
I
guess
can.
what do we want out of this? Like, I mean, I agree. Like, I have the same issue. It is there's a difference between tracking it and having someone make the change. Like, I don't know what the process is. Like, I'm not sure if I can pick up and do the change. What additional information are we looking for specifically?
I guess it's more of like having a conversation of whether we want to take in the change necessarily, right? I think, yeah, I mean, I think we need to surface this level of information, but we need to be a little bit smarter as to when we're doing it, as opposed to, instead of just, doing it for
I
the
mean,
yeah.
I can try to take a look. Yeah, for now, and then if I can't do it, I'll throw it back out there.
Okay, that's good. Okay. So I guess this is, I guess this is expected behavior today. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, with consolidate after, it will wait um to disrupt nodes until after, whatever the consolidation after value is, and if it's longer than 15 minutes, yeah, the customer would see uh hanging. I guess like the customer could also just get around, I guess the user here could get around it by just separating out the cron job into its own node pool. And then that would ultimately also solve this problem, and they can just configure the disruption policy that they would like for that. So, yeah, I guess it does. I guess that's. I guess it seems like it's already supported to me today. Just by looking at the configuration that are offered.
But
So,
now, like expiration, I
Go ahead,
seems
Garp.
well, or is either that or like expiration or something. I don't know exactly what they want because it seems weird that they're like, oh, the node is hanging up, but it's doing work. Is it doing too much work? I don't know. Or like, is it too big to be there? I don't. I couldn't tell from the ticket.
yeah.
Sort of.
I think I briefly read this issue last week. My understanding of this is that um, like they have this periodic cron job, right? And typically Karpenter would consolidate a node if it thinks that the node is underutilized, but it has this particular check on the last pod event time. So if a pod schedules on a node fairly recently, then it excludes that node from consolidation, right? So what they are saying is cron jobs are kind of meant to be these transient jobs and they'll spin up transient pods. So that should not be a reason for Karpenter to prevent consolidation. So I think I agree with Emmanuel in the sense that they can solve this problem by creating like a different node pool. But then again, I mean, this is one of the things like we have special handling for stateful sets, daemon sets. So is it one of like, should we consider cron job pods a special category of pods and just not prevent consolidation um, on those pods, even if they have been scheduled on the node recently?
Yeah, I mean, is it surprising? I guess the way I'm thinking about it is, would it be surprising to have a node pool that is for these transient pods that are destined to go away? Like transient, like almost like a Fargate task, really. Like spinning up capacity to be able to run these transient pods. I don't know if it's surprising that they're unable, if you were to use multiple node pools. I don't know if it's surprising if it would be. Hmm.
Yes,
I
I would.
go for it. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I guess I wouldn't be like I guess I would see some customers also doing this in the sense of having nodes stick around since they know they're having a lot of you know a lot of jobs going on at a given time. They may want to set a consolidation after value such that they don't have their jobs don't have to wait for an existing node to come up. Uh, Effectively having a means of enabling static capacity,
So this
with
is, I think this is the opposite case though. Like if you want static capacity, then you can always increase your consolidation period. For example, the problem that this customer is talking about is if I don't want static capacity, I have no option to do that today because the fact that Carpenter considers this last pod event time into consideration means that if I have a cron job running every 15 minutes, like Carpenter just won't consolidate that node.
right. I guess my main thing I was just saying is that like having it, I guess making that an innate exception for jobs could possibly. I think there are definitely use cases that would violate and be surprising to some other set of customer or
Yeah.
set of users.
I think maybe come at it. I want to come at it at a different way, I guess. Like ignoring job pods, for example, right? Like this is like it feels like a situation where like we know a node is heavily underutilized, but we're unable to consolidate it because there's something running on there. And should there be an additional consideration where this thing has been marked for consolidation many, many times because it's underutilized, but we have been unable to? And should we do something about that for efficiency's sake? Because there's likely no reason for that thing to be running. But then that's simply the situation of the thing. We're not able to. And I think there is value in saying this is way too big. It's underutilized. It has been underutilized for the last 10 checks or whatever. Maybe we should mark it for no scheduling and force consolidation on this thing. Not forcefully, but like force it to like go through the consolidation process so that we're not wasting money for excessive a period of time just because something happens to be running there. If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I think it totally does. And that's a great way to think about this. I mean, if I had like 20 pods running and then I had like this really huge instance that got spun up and then 19 of those pods die and then I'm left with this one cron job pod, then I'm just unnecessarily paying for that instance.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about whether or not this is actually just a configuration issue. Because I'm not sure. like depending on the instance and depending on what's needed, it could take a while for the node to launch, right? And if they're running these every 15 minutes, is there, if we ignore that and then we consolidate these and we ignore these pods, is there a chance then that we end up in a situation where a cron job then creates all these job pods? Those job pods trigger or signal that we need to provision capacity. That takes a while, then the job runs, and then the next set of jobs start because of some long provisioning window. And so is it better that this is another separate node pool with a selector for these transient pods, as opposed to handling it so that we could just consolidate and ignore these cron job pods?
I
Like
guess
I can understand them wanting, I can understand the preventing consolidation concern, but for people that might need to be running these jobs frequently enough, like it would be not great if they finish their consolidate after on that was zero or ignored, and then that capacity tore down, right?
I guess in my mind that's two different prompts. In that like the second prompt that you were mentioning where like, oh, it takes a while for it, or there's this one, it sounds like almost like reserve capacity, static capacity. And you're right that like in those cases we might want to keep it around, but I feel like that's a different class of problem that's solved by either static capacity, you turning off consolidation, or like something along those lines. Whereas like the situation where we want to reap a node that has been over capacity for many times comes at it like it's from the efficiency side, like consolidating better. Maybe it's a feature that we can flip on and off for users, but we need to also give a way for them to like, oh, we actually want to keep things around and don't forcefully consult. Like there's something there, it feels like, and both can live at the same time just because they're like kind of different knobs that you might want to tweak. And I agree that like it could be a config issue. It's just that I feel like I run into this issue. It's really hard to like see it, but like I feel like we scale up hard. Okay, I guess in a way we scale up hard, but we never, because we don't do the break one node into end nodes. This becomes like a continuous prompt that never goes away. In that like, as long as that node is running something, we cannot not break it down to smaller instances, and we end up in a situation where we have big capacity that's unutilized. And I don't know if this is like maybe part of the path toward fixing that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that generally, as long as people are seeing some sort of progress in consolidation, that is the overarching theme I've seen is that people want to see progress, right?
Yeah, yeah,
It's these, even if it's slow, it's these like wedge states that are
right.
problems.
Exactly. Yeah. And it feels like that is in the right direction just because I've seen that too and I've like heard about it too. Yeah.
And to be fair, like the customer is using the example of a cron job, but it doesn't have to be, right? Because let's say I have like a external batch job or external hourly spike in traffic to my website, and that's gonna cause Karpenter to create more pods. But if we use this, like when that spike goes away, like it will never be able to consolidate to like a smaller number of instances because it would think that, hey, you know what, this pod was just scheduled to this node, so let me just not consolidate. So I think like Reed, you're absolutely spot on, as in obviously there are customers who expect this, so we can't break them. But then, like Arvind mentioned, maybe it doesn't have to be that every time we just ignore this field, but more like if you see that, hey, you know what, this node just hasn't been consolidated in a while, then let's just do a one-off forceful consolidation in some sense. It's similar to expiration, right? I think we try to do like a graceful expiry, but if we can't, then at some point we're just going to draw that line.
I think that's first of all, but oh yeah, this is like a big change, right? Like this could be an RFC and everything. So
Yeah.
yeah. But we can likely do we have a mega issue around like stuff like consolidate a big node into smaller nodes or making progress? I feel like there's been a few issues around this, but I don't know if there's a mega issue where we can group it together and then throw an RC against it.
Yeah, I don't think there's a mega issue yet tracking various consolidation changes. We're just like starting to track some of these issues with consolidation generally. There might be, if you look into the 1 to n issues, I think that some have been opened and we might have referenced them, at least to each other, like node splitting. And maybe we can start with there or start to get something.
Yeah, I guess do you want to take that up?
Sure. Yeah, I can throw it in my backlog.
What's your alias here?
Or Shalo.
There it is.
I know it's confusing. Internal alias is that just like the first initial at the end.
Okay, cool. Wow, we're almost getting to top. Okay. I guess I'm surprised that these daemon sets don't have toleration for no schedule. Because at least in my mind, the daemon set bot should be tolerant to that. But I guess it'll depend on no execute, but at least when it comes to no schedule, I would expect them to be able to tolerate that. I think we just need to understand more about the customer statement set and
That is so weird. I've never seen a pod go into a fail state when a no schedule taint is on. Like that's not normal. Usually it's like no execute. If it's scheduled already, why would it turn into fail state?
right.
I don't understand. Like that I've never seen before. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I think we just need to get more clarity. Uh, I'm thinking that this is one person on their team. I'm hoping it's not a lot of people that are hitting this. But I'll send it to myself and just follow up with them. Yeah, that's definitely an interesting issue. Okay. Mhm. Interesting. Okay. So sounds like they want to be able to allow their application teams to be able to see these uh disruptions or like these events. At least that's how I'm reading it. Oh, it's definitely interesting. I think definitely an interesting use case. I'm thinking that this could just be a PR. They could just make a PR and we could have the conversation there. I don't think this would need an RFC.
That would be possibly problematic. The reason is like you only get to put one involved object, so you have to choose, right? Like it's blocked. Is it involving the node object or the no claim object? Um, because neither of those are namespace and they're not the pod itself. I thought there was a trying to look at the spec for events. I thought there's like a related object in one of the versions of events. I forgot. But I'm not 100% sure involved object is the right thing to change here. I just don't. It's been a while since I looked at the events.
Like though they're focusing on pods and PDBs.
Right, right.
So which in that case they could achieve that, right?
No, no. I guess what I meant is that you in that events code, right? Your involved object is a singular object. So like if node A cannot be consolidated, then the involved object usually is node A. And you wouldn't say it's pod or PDB. So it's going to be problematic or not easy to just say like you replace the event in a way, right? Because this block events happening in the node or the state node controller and or the no claim controller. Both of them is going to say is involving the no claim or the node object. You would either need another thing that's like PDB controller that will say like that node is blocked by the PDB or something like that. Um, it's just the nature of events, if that makes sense.
Like I guess like we would need I guess we just need to say like, hey, we're I guess inverting it a little bit on its head of saying like, hey, this pod is blocking this node from being able to be disrupted.
This this node, right? It is in the message right now. I think like I'm trying to remember. I could be wrong, but like if you look at like the spec for events, the way they define involved object is not exactly just a free for all. It's supposed to mean like the thing that is the actual object that's emitting an event. If that makes sense.
I think so. I guess like yeah, I guess the way that I'm thinking about this is just, having an entirely separate event that this customer would have to be able to track. But I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we are firing events for pods when they're blocking enough, right?
Not that I know of, no.
Right. So we would need, I was just thinking like you would have a separate event that you would fire against the pod.
I okay, so I think are you in V1 events? I don't think so because you're in core V1 and I think V1 events move to events V1. Very confusing
Okay.
because here's the spec for V1, right? It changes the naming of things to related and regarding. You scroll down to like reason.
Reason.
Yeah, these three, reason, regarding, and related. In
God.
theory, going to V1 allows you to be more expressive with your events, but it's not simple to go to V1 because there's a bunch of work that you have to do.
Right.
Because in the previous version, it's not very, there's limited amount of things you can say about events. And that's why I'm like bringing it up, like, it's not super simple to do this, to be more expressive without upgrading.
Gotcha. I see what you mean now. I guess having it, firing events against the node and being able to relate to other objects. I see
Yeah,
what.
yeah, exactly. Because in theory, you are firing against the node because something else did something to it. But I think the older version is not very expressive in saying this other thing is affecting my node, like my involved object, without doing, I don't know. I don't know what you can actually do without putting him. The best thing I think is like the message. But then in the newer version, in theory, you can be a little bit more expressive because like these components are interacting and this is a problem.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, would you mind taking this up then?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I can comment on this.
I don't.
GNA T Gen GNATR. Yeah, that one. There you go.
Cool. Thank you. And so we've taken a look. Wow, we're into this week. Okay, support different consolidate after. So did you by any chance look at this?
Yeah, I think this is the one that I commented in the thread. It seems like we are getting more and more requests to just support more configuration options for disruption. We talked about the other one, and then this is not exactly the same, but like in similar lines. Seems reasonable to me. I mean, I don't really see a problem with them asking for it, but I think we need to just talk about how we want this to evolve in the future. Like, where do we draw the line between, hey, you know what, these are the options that we want to support, or this is just too much?
I guess. I guess for this one, help me understand how is this different to just having to want to underutilize an empty? Is it just like, yeah, I guess yeah, I guess I'm because in my mind, like if you've defined one underutilized and empty, that is effectively the same thing as just defining, or I guess just defining one empty, right?
No, I think they're like their core ask here is that there should be different consolidate after, like the duration should be different for different cases, which technically can also be accomplished if you have like two different node pools and then you apply the different times there. But I think they just don't want the don't want a single timeout basically for both of these conditions, if that makes sense.
Let me see.
Like,
Yeah,
if your node is empty, then sure, consolidate after 5 minutes. But if you think my node is underutilized, then don't consolidate it too soon. Wait for an hour.
yeah, yeah. Definitely an interesting use case. I guess I'm curious, like why you would care for them to be different, but okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I mean,
Uh,
in terms of why you'd care, it's just like if a node is running empty, then it's effectively useless in some sense, right? So I might want to consolidate it soon. It's kind of one of those things about static capacity. If I still have workloads running on it, then I don't want you to consolidate it because then you might disrupt things that are already running. It's a similar type of ask for different reasons.
gotcha. Okay, cool. Can I assign this to you then for the time being?
Yeah, I think you can assign it to me for now.
What's your alias? GitHub.
Um, Put it on the chat.
Thank you. Okay, let's try to see if we can get through at least one more. Mm, So So I guess today, so today we would respect the termination grace period, but if they don't have it, we just immediately delete. Actually, even I don't even think we just delete after 30 minutes, but or whatever is defined by the specific um failure rate, like the specific failure on like the specific node repair condition and its termination grace period, or not termination grace period, but rather the toleration of that condition that's passed by the cloud provider. So I guess I can assign this to myself. I I think we just need to validate what the customer is actually saying, or the user is actually saying here. Which here, I think this was closed out. Okay. Seems like there's additional conversations here. So I can assign this to myself and then go from there. Um, well, I think we can get,
No, this is me.
yeah.
I guess I can quickly go over this. Like, it's a simple, I guess not necessarily simple, but it's an ask specifically around like, there are situations where Karpenter is creating nodes that never get used. It could be an issue with I messed up. I wrote a no pool or EC2 no class that didn't make sense, and the no pod would never land on there. Or I think the situation in like 19828 where Carpenter is creating nodes ahead of pod deletion because of replacements, but then that won't get used, and then it end up churning that node. Um, the thought here is that it would be great if Carpenter can somehow express that, either stop itself from doing that after some tries, or emit some metrics that says, I tried to do this many times and it didn't work out. And we can track as operators because it just wastes money. It's just churning nodes, even though it never lands things on there. And I just need a way to either know about it or have Carpenter stop doing it. Um, I don't know what the answer is, but yeah.
I'm wondering if like the degraded RFC may help you, because that's kind of along those same lines
Right.
of like,
I haven't looked at the grade. Sorry, keep going. I was just agreeing, and I haven't looked at the graded RFC yet.
yeah, no, it was just that's just a mechanism that we're at least there's an RFC for it to be able to know when Carpenter is launching nodes, or yeah, effectively launching nodes and not being able to register them. That's specific to registration though, but
Mhm.
possible that we could potentially extend this to handling this kind of use cases uh, as well. Because I mean, similarly to with the rollout of force expiration, because I feel like others have also seen similar issues where um, Carpenter will try to launch a node and expect pods to go there, but they never end up landing there anyways, and so then we end up just kind of churning and doing that same behavior that you've described.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes sense. I think I'll give an eye. I guess I'll link it, but then I'll keep an eye out for the RFCs just because I guess that's the early stages for degraded, and then it can move towards something more since it's just registration right now.
Okay, that sounds
Makes
good.
sense. Thanks. Yeah, question?
Yeah, I had a quick question. So I'm guessing you are more concerned about the cases wherein these nodes are not also able to consolidate because they are pending nomination for a pod on an existing node. Because typically consolidation would take care of these nodes otherwise, right?
Yes. Well, actually, most of the time, you're right, the consolidation would take care of it. I just essentially wanted to stop churning the nodes. Like, after some time, the node will go away. I just need to stop creating nodes. Like, I know something messed up. I try 10 times. I need to stop trying more, so that we don't waste time and money just bringing up nodes and getting tear down. It not consolidating, that's not always the case. Like it will consolidate, like you said, and at least for us. And I just don't want it to spin up more. I just need to stop.
That makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. I think I was just trying
Yeah.
to understand which scenario we were talking about.
Okay.
Good. I will leave this one as is, for the time being, and then, yeah, that's okay. Cool. And I think we have one, just a newly created issue. We'll let that one stay, but I think we're also at time as well. So I think we might have gone through all these issues, the untriaged issues anyway. So hopefully we can reduce this down as well, some more. Okay. I think that's all we have today, folks. Thanks for joining. Hope to see you next week.
Thank you.